Okay, let's walk through the tools that we're going to use to build this lure. Pick up some things that you're going to need. For starters, you won't need this now. I'll walk you through most of these steps, but if you're going to do any lure building, lure prototyping, you're going to need a gram scale. This is the one I use. I think I picked this up at Harbor Freight. Walmart probably has some. Hobby Lobby or something like that might have them as well. You can definitely get them on Amazon. This one does grams and ounces, so that's going to be important because you're going to need to know how much all your things weigh. To make the twist ties, line ties, lure hangers, I use this 041 stainless steel lock wire, 1 pound coil. I got this at Harbor Freight. You can get it on Amazon. This was like $8 or $9. I had calculated before. I think if you make your line ties like an inch and a half long, you can make conservatively 700 of them. If you are mindful of your waist, but it's cheap. You can make your line ties, your hook hangers for about a penny a piece, maybe a penny and a half. Here's one right here. I'll show you. This is what I'm talking about, right? So using this wire to make these guys, and the way that we do that, you're going to have, or you need to have, you could do it in a drill if you have a vise. You could put something in a drill, in the vise, something that's a sufficient diameter. If you were going to put a drill bit in a vise, maybe I would go for like a number 40 drill bit, which is 0.98, 98 thousandths in diameter, or something smaller than that. The bigger number of the drill bit, the smaller it is. So if you went with a 41 or a number 41 or number 45, it'd be a smaller diameter than 0.98. But you're going to need to do it either in a drill, either in a vise, or you're going to need some safety wire pliers. Like these, they've got a lot of miles on them, especially up here. It looks rusty. I've left them outside a time or two. So what you do is you take your wire, you cut it, you bend it in half. You put both ends of the wire in here, and then you can close this and it'll latch down here, and then when you pull this handle, this comes out, and when you do, this spins, and it spins the wire. You'll see videos of a lot of guys on YouTube doing it. These are you can get them at Harbor Freight or Amazon. They're not expensive. 5, 10, 15 bucks. You could definitely pay more if you wanted to. Cheap ones are going to be fine. Really, the thing to look out for on cheap ones, these are cheap ones, these are Harbor Freight, I think they're $5 or $6, is that sometimes the jaws don't grip well. You probably can't see that very well. It's not worth going and buying a $40 pair of pliers unless you just wanted to. These will suffice. Amazon or Harbor Freight. They're called safety wire pliers. They've also got a side cutting edge there for cutting wire. So when I don't use a vise, I do it right here on my little table, the computer table. I take this nail. I have another one that I've got the end of it cut off, so it's just so it doesn't have that point. Let's see. It's around here somewhere. Anyway, I took a pair of side cutters and I cut off that point on one of them, and I hold it in my hands like this, and I hold it like that, and I operate the safety wire pliers in my other hand. And I keep tightening it and making it tighter and tighter and tighter until this doesn't fall through. So this nail is kind of my gauge to keep them all similar. Once it gets to a point where the head of this finishing nail won't pass through, then that's where I stop. I also use these, I get these from Home Depot. That's what this nail is. 1.5 inch stainless finishing nail. Now you want to make sure that it's got this little head on it, like I was just showing you. It's not a traditional flat nail. I use these for pins whenever I make a 2-piece lure, like a swim bait or a glide bait or something. I'll use these as the pin that goes in the top, and then I'll make extra line ties. And this is the hinge system. It works great. Stainless steel, stainless steel. Again, that's these guys. They're at Home Depot. It's like $2 or $3 for a box of 50. So on to the line tie. What I have right now is these split rings. I have these only because I picked them up at my local Walmart. And you can get some split rings at Academy or Bass Pro. You can order them on Amazon. You can get them from Barlow's or wherever. I just have these right now because this is what I picked up at Walmart. It's $2 or $3 for this. No, I think it's $1 for this pack. I picked a couple of them. Not all Walmarts carry them. So if you have a few Walmarts around you, check online or check on the app to see what is in stock in the store. To put the split rings on, I use these. You're going to need split ring pliers. These ones I got from Walmart. I think they're Apollo brand, but it's a KVD line. I don't know if you can see if we can get to where you can see that. It says KVD right here. I don't know, $7 or $8 at Walmart. But if you've never used split ring pliers before, the split ring goes in here, and that little point right there stabs into the split ring, prying it apart so that you can get it onto your other pieces of hardware, like your hook or your wire. I don't know if you'll be able to see. You'll be able to get it to focus enough, but I may not be able to see that. Focus. Anyway, you get the idea. If you've never used them before, you should get a pair of. You don't have to have these split ring pliers, but these are just ones that they had at Walmart, and they're handy. They also have a line cutter on them. I've never tried to cut braid with it. Mostly these are sitting on the table, and I use them for whenever I'm assembling lures, not whenever I'm out fishing. For hooks, same idea. On this one, I'm using these hooks simply because this is what they have at Walmart. It's a couple of bucks. You get 20 of them. These are size 4 treble hooks. Now to put the line tie into the lure, you can use super glue. The problem is though that it's so quick setting. You get squirt a bunch of super glue down in the hole that you've made, the recess that you made for your line tie, and you put it in there, and then it's set before maybe it's turned like this, or it's at an angle. You don't really get it straight up and down or sideways, depending on what kind of bait or lure you're making. So what I prefer to use for this is like a 5-minute epoxy, a 10-minute epoxy, a 15-minute epoxy. I've tried several different ones. I haven't used any that failed me yet. I have used super glue, and it's worked fine through it's held up to fish, but you're really like up against the clock. Different epoxies I've used. This one works well. It's Gorilla Glue, 5-minute epoxy. It's clear. Pop that cap off, push out equal amounts, mix it up. You got 5 minutes to apply it. I've used this one and it's worked fine. This is JB Weld plastic bonder. It's 15 minutes, so you got a little bit more time to mess around. You can get it in there, get it set, put it in a safe place. I don't know if you can tell this one's been chewed up. My dog has tried to eat it, but it still works. Thankfully, he didn't get it completely destroyed or eat any of it, thank heavens. I've also used this one. This is from Harbor Freight. I think, I don't know, $2-3 maybe. But same idea. This is a 5 minute. Yeah, it says in 5 minutes. Pick up whatever you can find. Home Depot on it. The adhesive aisle, maybe at AutoZone or Auto Parts Store. Harbor Freight, definitely. For the ballast, we're going to be using to weight the lure. You got to use, if you can get your hands on lead, you got to use lead. Steel will absolutely work if you got ball bearings. It will absolutely work, but it's not going to work as well as lead. Again, I'm using these because I got them at Walmart. And you can use any size, whatever fits to your application. But for this lure that we're going to be going over in this playlist, in this series, I'm using size 3 split shot. I had told you guys that it was 0.33 in diameter. And it is, but that is with them pushed closed because, they're a little open. As split shot is, right? So it's wider than that when it's open, but when you close it, it's 0.33 diameter. So that's size 3 split shot. That's Walmart. That's probably $1 for 15 of them. For eyes, you don't have to have eyes. Some people like to have eyes. I like to have eyes. There's a lot of good. Oh, there's several good companies that make eyes. I like these. They're called Fish Skull Living Eyes. These ones in particular are 8.5 millimeter. You get 16 in a pack, and I think it's $4.50 for a pack of 16. You can get these on Amazon. I don't know if you'll be able to read that, but down at the bottom, it's from www.flymenfishingcompany.org. If you just search Google for Fish Skull Living Eyes, you'll see the Amazon link, and you'll also see the link to the Flymen Fishing Company website. And like I said, they're reasonably cheap. I think they're about $1 each. Once you do the math, you can get a fish down for about 50 cents with these. They have them in several different sizes, from 3 millimeter up to like 10 or 12 millimeter, depending on how big of eyes you need. The larger ones come with less in the pack, and the smaller eyes have more in the pack. We won't really be doing it on this one, but one thing that I really recommend if you're prototyping lures is to get you a cheap hot glue gun. Anyone will do it. Doesn't have to be the high strength structural hot glue gun, just a $5 craft store hot glue gun. This one that's got a lot of miles on it, and it's, as you can see, if you can read that, it's a low temp. I'm doing this on my phone. It's hard to get things in focus. But this is just your average low temp hot glue gun. And what I'll do is, when I'm making my holes for my ballast, for my weights, I'll make them a little longer than they need to be the first go around on the prototype. And that way it gives me the ability to move weight forward, move weight aft in the pocket. And then when I have it in the pocket in a place to test, I just hit some hot glue on there. And it's cooled in 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, or you can dunk it in water and it cools real fast. And check the balance, the weight in your little float tank or your bathtub or whatever. And if you want to move it, you just peel that hot glue off, move the weight, and you find exactly where it needs to be. And then when you go from the prototype to the final design, you can take that elongated pocket and move it, make it smaller to fit just the weight. Or if you don't want to do that, if you want to fish with your prototype, you can fill in those gaps with the excess gap that we had created to make the ballast movable. You can just fill it in with hot glue. It's around about 1 gram per centimeter, so it's got similar density to water, where lead is like, I don't know, is it 12 grams per cubic centimeter, something like that. So it does add some weight, but it doesn't add very much weight. And you could either design you a cover, 3D printed cover that goes over that you glue on, or put some super glue and baking soda and just sand it. You will need some sandpaper. That should go without being mentioned. So hot glue gun, hot glue sticks. We got the epoxy for the line tie eyes. For the paint job, I've got an airbrush. I've got 2 airbrushes. But you can, I've done it for sure with painting by hand with brush or with a sponge. And I think when we do this one, we'll paint it by hand. Well, by hand, I mean with a brush or with a sponge, just to show you that it can be done for sure. And then you're gonna want the final finishing coat. I use UV resin. This is the one that I use. So what it says is OSBANG, OSBANG, UV resin, UV curable, and today does not want to focus. I don't know if I get it real close, will it focus? What if I close it up? No? Okay, so it just says UV curable resin solution, hard glue. I'll get a link to these. Several companies make it. You can get it on Amazon. Alumilite does make a UV epoxy. It's not as good as it used to be, and it's expensive compared to this stuff. It's about $20 for 500 grams. No, yeah, I think it's $20 for 500 grams and like $30 for 1,000 grams. If you are needing to just go out to the store and pick something up, you can get Alumilite, usually at like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or sometimes Walmart. I know that you can't see on my screen, but let me see. Okay, Amazing Clearcast. Amazing Clearcast, I've used it before. You're going to need a lure returner with it, or at least I recommend a lure returner with it. I've never used it without a lure returner. I also use a lure returner with this, and you'll need UV lights with this. There are guys men and women, who don't use a lure hanger with the resin, the UV resin. It's a little thick. Like to put it in a hot water bath, like get some warm water in a tub, set this in here, let's see, sit in there, like up to here, and let it warm up, and that will thin the epoxy on the inside, and it'll be a little runnier, so you can get a thinner coat. You don't need a real thick coat, and you don't need to apply 12 coats of it. If you're fishing for toothy fish, maybe you do, but I don't know. We don't have any. I don't fish for any toothy fish. For a turner, you can make your own turner. There's a lot of them out there on YouTube. I've got one in mind that I'm gonna make with some 3D printing stuff, 3D printed pieces, and I'll share that with you guys whenever that idea is a little more mature. But you can buy a cup turner at Hobby Lobby or from Amazon for $15-20. You can get them on Facebook Marketplace because a lot of people buy them and then they don't use them. And it's just got a dowel rod that comes out of it, and on the back side of it's got a motor, and it spins. So I've 3D printed a little piece that goes on the end of that. That's what I use. I could put 4 lures on it at a time. And I take these hemostats and I just clip that onto one of the hook hangers, usually the one on the tail or the one on the nose. And, you know, just clamp it down like that with the lure holding out there. Then I've got this little piece that slides on the wooden dowel of the cup turner, and it's got a pocket that holds this, and it turns it. It's cheap. It's very. You can only do smaller lures. You can only do a couple of them, but search YouTube for lure turner, lure rotator, lure rotisserie, whatever. You'll find all kinds of stuff for those. So that's that. That'll give you some time to order those as we move along in the process. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys on the computer how to do we're going to create a calibrated print, because we're going to need to know what size hole to put for these, what size hole to put in the lure for the ballast, and we're going to make a little calibrated block with a few different holes in it, different sizes, so we can fit check this and see, because every printer is different. If I told you what size to use, it would be different on your printer. The flow is a little different, the calibration is a little different on everybody's printer. So we'll get into that on the next video. It should be here on the screen for you to click on it now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're enjoying it. If there's anything you'd like to see, post it in the Facebook group, comment it below, and I'll see you on the next video.